Hello everyone, this is Colin once again, and this is the first video that I'm making, first official video for this account. The funny thing is I tried making a video of me recording, reading Allen Ginsberg's Howl, the poem Howl, and I had recorded it, at least the first part. It's a long poem, and I started recording it, and then it hit upload, and then YouTube said there was an error, and because I'm doing this directly as a quick upload from my webcam, the whole thing was lost. So, kind of frustrated me, and then school started and all this other stuff, and I just didn't have the motivation to do that again. So this video is different. I will be recording Ginsberg's Howl, his poem Howl, in the near future, but this is kind of a fun thing that's currently happening right now with me, and that's that I'm reading the new fantasy novel by Patrick Rothfuss named The Wise Man's Fear, and you can get it at your local bookstore. I work at an independent bookstore, so I would, of course, encourage you guys to get it from an independent bookstore, but no matter where you get it from, whether it's the library or wherever, it's an awesome book. And I wanted to talk about, without giving anything away, I wanted to talk about just why I think Rothfuss is probably today's, best fantasy writer of the modern fantasy genre. Um, and what I mean by that is that, there's a lot of authors, and I've sort of categorized them into two camps. You've got like the traditional fantasy writers that follow a mold, so they have stories that have a template that has really been pioneered by Tolkien, author of Lord of the Rings, which is, you have elves and dwarves and orcs, and and then you set a story in that sort of traditional land, and then you have like people like Robert Jordan, who creates these huge epics that go on for several volumes, and Terry Brooks has done this, and the thing is that it gets kind of repetitious. You either have the template mold, and then you have like the very long, okay, I'm going to invest my time into like 20 volumes, and Rothfuss is sort of in the middle. And this is the cover of the first book, The Name of the Wind. And this was published back in 2007, and it was sort of like this underground novel. It was a word-of-mouth novel. No one really knew about it, and even though I had been working at my current job, I've been working at the same bookstore since 2007, when I graduated high school. This book, never knew anything about this book. I probably shelved this book and never bothered to take a look at it, because you look at it and you think, well, it's not, it doesn't jump out at you. There are a lot of covers that you're like, holy crap, and you walk up to and you're like, oh man, not saying judging a book by its cover, but it's got that sort of, I mean, look at it. It doesn't jump at you. It's creepy looking. It's mysterious, but it doesn't make you want to pick it up and go, oh, and it's not like a magnet, unless you're into creepy, covers. And so I was talking to a friend of mine and was complaining to him about how I thought the current state of fantasy is just, ripped off of Tolkien, and this sort of like, investment sort of series where you are expected to read 10 books in a series that are like, each about this big, if not bigger. And I just told him that, where is the originality? And he said, well, have you heard of Patrick Rothfuss and The Name of the Wind? And I told him I hadn't. And he said, we should check it out. It's, the most original fantasy novel on the market. And so I, went to work the next day and then found a copy, bought it, and read it in about 2 nights. And I went into it thinking, I'm going to find one cliche in this book, at least one fantasy cliche. And I read the whole thing, and I swear to you, there is not a single cliche in this entire book. That should say something. For those of you who know about the fantasy genre, have read the many fantasy novels, you know that it's like, oh god, another elf, you shall not pass ripoff, and this is just voided of that. This is utterly original, and what's great about his writing style is that I have told people that it's actually poetic at times. It's like he's an artist. He's like painting a landscape, and that might sound weird, but I mean, really, it's at times you're reading and you get lost in a good way. I mean, you sort of just are mystified by his style of writing, because it's not this chunky epic style. It's like the story flows and keeps you going. Another thing is the main character, Quoth, he is so deep. And this is another thing about this novel, is that no offense to Tolkien or anything, but you read a lot of epics, and it's like the story is the main focus. It's all the components, the characters, the setting, the objects make up this epic story. With Rothfuss, the story is being told by the main character, and it's about his life, about how he becomes this legend. And he's telling the story in the first person. So you get a chance to get into the mind of this character, and he's not this cliche, Conan the Barbarian type, or it's a dark, very real emotional character that goes through real stuff, and you feel for him at times. At times you're frustrated with him. At times you think, oh man, you totally screwed that up, and you feel like you get to know this person, and you get to know the people that he knows, and you understand his attitudes towards people, his situations, his environment. At times may feel like, maybe it's set in the Renaissance or maybe a medieval setting, but that doesn't really, it's totally original. His concepts of time, his time concept of politics and currency, it's all completely original. You're not sitting there going, God, this reminds me of, this book, that never, I mean, you may try and think to yourself, where have I heard this? You realize that you haven't. So yeah, so I read this already, and then, uh, then picked up the Wise Man's Fear. Now, the great thing about, also another thing, reason why I love this is I actually saw Patrick Rothfuss at at a reading that he did. He did 2 events in San Francisco, uh, and I went to both with my friend who got me into The Name of the Wind. And so I was able to have him sign my copy of the Wise Man's Fear. And I have to say that Rothfuss is an amazing individual to see in person. Totally humble, totally a funny guy, but he's real. He's honest, and he doesn't carry himself like, yeah, I just wrote this, amazing, these 2 amazing novels, and you should buy my book and kiss my ass. That's totally not his attitude. You could see this guy walking around, and what would stand out only is the fact that he's got an awesome beard. Beyond that, you'd see him sitting somewhere, and you wouldn't think that he was this great writer. He doesn't carry himself with that sort of ego. He's very honest, very real. And talking with him, I was able to talk with him about 15 minutes outside of the event while we were standing in the hallway with about 7 other people, and he's just a genuinely nice guy. And his sources for even writing this novel are unique. His inspirations, his why he decided to write it the way he does. Again, everything about this guy is just he. I have said before, he is like today's Tolkien, and he is the rejuvenating force of the fantasy genre. So, if you've read The Name of the Wind, if you are reading The Wise Man's Fear, I'm currently reading it. I'm not even that far into it. My friend, who got me into The Name of the Wind, has already finished the book. I think he finished it in a couple of days. And I'm only on chapter 30. And so I'm going to agree with Rothfuss, and he made this very clear when he was giving his talks, that he doesn't like spoilers, and I don't like spoilers being posted anywhere either. On my account. If you want to ask me something that I thought of a certain plot point, send me a private message. But if you want to leave a comment, just maybe say why you like it. Don't try and give anything away. Don't really talk about the plot for those people who will be reading the comment section, and we don't want to give anything away. But maybe just say how do you discovered Rothfuss, and maybe in an abstract way why you like him, kind of like what I've done in this video. But know that if you send me a personal message about the second book, know that I'm only on chapter 30 as of right now, and I probably won't be that very far in the near future. But I'll probably give a little announcement in the comment section, like, yeah, I finished the book, and then you can ask me a question that pertains to something past chapter 30. But feel free to maybe post a video response about again why you like Rothfuss. And spread the word. If you like fantasy, and if you haven't read the books yet, check out the books. If you have read them, keep encouraging people that your friends, your family, who likes fantasy, to check out the books, because again, if you like them, I guess you will agree with me that they are just the best fantasy novels out there right now, most original. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching, and I will check in with you guys at another time. Peace.